So good to see you. So good to be here. I love
Yeah.
everyone sharing. I love the people who are getting those little insights that just are these just beautiful moments of clarity that just lead to, for me, led to the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Especially like well, what Asa was saying, where and it's leads to my question, where she had that moment where she caught herself and she was like, well, what the hell? Like you realize, well, for me, when I realized that, oh my God, I've been doing this all my life, where it's analyzing and thinking about it, and yeah, like, oh wait, I should think about them and I should consider this, and there's so much that, like, it's just nonstop. My whole life I've been doing it, and then the moment where it was just like, holy shit, I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to do any of that. That's all fucking made up. And like, it's so beautiful to see other people getting those little things. So here's my question. With the six fetter now, is it like, what the hell to even the labels of like, for example, distance? So like, oh, there's the tree out there and I'm here. There's a distance between us. Like, there's another fucking thing that I don't even need.
Yes.
Or like, I hear a dog barking and there's a dog and I can imagine it in my mind. That's a
Yes.
dog barking, and I'm so even those labels of me sitting here, dog out there making that sound, like, so it could just be like, what the hell? I don't need any of those labels to describe this
Yes.
phenomena,
Yes.
right? That's six
Yes.
better. Okay, so
Absolutely.
then like, you were saying, like, in one of your meditations, like, can you sense that it's no distance, right?
Mhm.
And then I was like, wait, but no distance, like, okay, so the distance is also the label, like distance or no distance is a label too, like no distance is a label too.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the if I could just like maybe clarify a little bit. So the issue is that distance implies two ends, right? Like you have a line has to be defined by two endpoints. And so if you have a tree that's out there at a distance from you, it implies the you that is here separate from it. And even if you drop the label of distance and you just see raw experience what's showing up, just the raw visual image of green and brown and shape, there's an implication that we have that there is something in here which is seeing it, that there's something separate from the image, even if it's just little teeny tiny distance. There seems to be something which is not synonymous with that image itself.
Right.
And so with the sixth fetter, we're also investigating, is there some witnessing entity of any sort that is separate from the seeing, the hearing, the feeling, the tasting, the smelling?
Yeah, and that's really, it's really, there was something that you said, I think it was in the sofa sit, where when I close my eyes and I imagine like where my foot would be, even that is a thought of like the image of my foot's down there at
Yeah.
that distance. Like, so the thought is, it comes from here looking down
Right.
there. Like, that's the kernel, what'd you call it? Like, that's a little
A little local.
nugget in itself of all. There's a bunch of stuff in there in that little nugget or something that you said on the
Yeah.
sofa sit,
Yep.
Yeah.
Pernell.
Yeah. But it's also about, first of all, that when you close your eyes, and you do it now, if you close your eyes and you think of your foot, first of all, your direction in your mind is going downwards towards the foot.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
might get an image of a foot in your mind. Now I want you to look closer to that foot. Is that even your foot?
Well, no, because I can't see it.
No, but if you zoom in on the foot that you see, is that even your foot? because most times it's not even our own foot. And if you zoom
Right.
in on it, it might have, you know, your nail polish on, or it might have, you know, some characteristics with your feet, but then it can merge into another foot. And whose foot is that? That you all of a
Right, because
sudden
I'm
have,
just I'm imagining it with my eyes closed. I'm
yes,
imagining it. It's just an
yeah,
imagination. But I'm also imagining that I'm the one imagining it, right?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's
Like
something.
that's the part that's like hard
Yeah.
to break, I think. Like how do I stop imagining that I'm the one that's imagining? You know?
Well, so you investigate
It's
your.
I just want to say, yeah, so
Yep,
sorry.
yep, yep, yep.
Mhm.
I just want to say, it's like we add a middleman that is not there,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know? That's the
But
brain,
well,
period.
like someone
No,
was saying, right, that's what someone was saying, like it's a memory. That's a memory that has not that's like constant and has never gone away, you know, like
yeah, but also that's the
that
brain.
doing that.
That's the
Uh-huh.
brain, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the brain. That's it. That's not an eye experiencing anything. That's the brain. There's receptors in the meat suit. The brain is collecting all the messages from the receptors and creating stories into what that is. There's a difference in what it is experiencing in direct experience, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, but it's still the brain experiencing it.
Yeah.
And then
But
there's,
then I imagine my brain's right here doing that.
And
That's the connection that's
yeah,
being made automatically. That's the brain in this head, in this skull, doing that. So I still feel like the locality, the perspective from the eyes connected to the brain.
yeah, because we're still at that point using concepts, which is not really helpful. You know,
That's true. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
gotcha.
if
Gotcha.
we're invoking an image of the brain, it's no different than invoking the image of the foot with the eyes closed. It's
Okay.
an imagination of
Yep.
something which I guarantee you your brain does not physically look like the thing that you're imagining when you imagine your brain, right?
Okay. Right.
But
Okay,
the
gotcha,
really
gotcha.
but the really important thing is investigating that feeling of being the one who, when your eyes are closed and you're picturing your foot, it feels like you're looking down at the foot. Investigating again in the five senses which elements are appearing right now that seem to be locating you, the seer, somewhere in the range of the head. So you investigate, are there physical sensations there that are contributing to this illusion? Are there other mental images that are showing up that seem to be creating an image of you kind of nestled here at that distance? Feel the sense of distance itself. Like you, it's maybe easier to do this with your eyes open at first when you're sitting here staring out at a wall across the space. But if you try to get a feel of what distance actually is, there's, I think it's more complicated in some ways than we give it credit for, because we have, yes, this sort of visual sense where the eyes are taking a two-dimensional image and giving shape and shadow and color. It's creating the sense of depth. But in an actual room, in an environment, we're also getting auditory cues. We're getting reflections back from other surfaces that are at different distances. And so just like, you know, bats use echolocation to determine where they are, there are some people who very incredibly who are blind who are able to use echolocation to walk around objects and basically map an environment like that. So I think there's an element where that is also happening, and it's giving us this sense of three-dimensionality and being in a room as well at a distance from other things. We also have the physical sense of the physical body itself, and those sensations feel distinct initially from the visual cues and from the auditory cues and all of that. So it gives us this illusion that there are all of these different pieces which are happening scattered all around space, and it's all being reflected back. And again, the key with the Fetter 6 is that there is this idea that there is something in here which is aggregating everything. It's hearing it, it's seeing it, it's feeling it, it's tasting, it's smelling, and it's the thing which is drawing it all together and knowing it all, recognizing it all, and being the one which is at the middle of everything. And so getting really clear on what senses are showing up here, what is giving you the illusion that there is something in this particular space, wherever that space actually is for you, at a separation from anything else. And the more we put our attention just on the raw, direct experience of each individual sense faculty, that sense can collapse, because then you recognize that all there is this sound that's appearing. And there doesn't have to be anything which is separate from it in order to hear it. Likewise, our visual field, likewise, our sense field. The sensation in your foot does not need another person to recognize that sensation, or it doesn't need a witness of the sensation to be felt. The sensation itself is the feeling. And it's that kind of recognition that we're getting at by digging into all the little elements that seem to be the witnesser, the me, that little me that's in there separate from everything else.
Okay, shining a spotlight on that sensation of, right. And you did that at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Slightly. Yeah. It was a cross between Fetter 1 me and Fetter 6 me-ish.
I'm also thinking that I like what you're pointing at with that, really, instead of just assuming, just really slowing down and zooming in. So you start to notice all the small bubbles of identification that has a full life on their own. Like we talked a lot about as well. Because that is where it starts to become very, very apparent that it's just layer upon layer upon layer of identification that we're not even aware of that is happening.
Yeah. Okay. It all comes full circle, because the question that you first asked me, Todd, was what is it that's assuming yourself, that you're assuming to be yourself? Like, look at that, keep looking at that. So it's coming full circle.
It really does.
Yeah. And then there's just such a freedom too, to like, remember I told you, Pernille, about my stepmother and this way that I was identifying with her. I was keeping her, I was just thinking like, fuck her. Like, and then you helped me realize that, like, oh, that was just all me. And then, so we've reconciled in a sense where I kind of just let it go. I don't need to think of her in any way. I could just be there and not have to think about, and it's just so freeing, because I don't have to think about anyone anyway. And it's so freeing to just not have to think about that or worry about that, just, you don't have to believe anything how she should be or how she shouldn't be or what she shouldn't say, if she likes me or if not. It's so beautiful to just live in a world where, it's such a relief. So thank you guys. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I could see where that's, like how that's one layer, but it goes smaller and smaller and smaller until, you don't have to believe that you're this thing looking down at your feet, you don't, right. If more subtle and subtle, kind of.
Exactly.
Okay.
But then even when you do that, even discover the little bubbles of identification. Like, for example, if you imagine your foot and you see your nail polish on your toes, zoom into that little bubble of the nail polish, because there's a little identification with the nail polish, with the selection of the color, the story about when you bought it, all the other colors that you have and why you chose that color. Everything that you look at and zoom into, you will find those small bubbles of identification. And it's all of those that we can just unhook until it's just, silence. It's just equanimity. It's just stillness, simplicity, and contentment. There's nothing attached to anything anymore. All of it is unhooked.
Got it. Yeah. But and there's something that says, like, you can't stay alive like that. You know what I mean? Like there's something there. I think that's when that fear kicks in, where it's just like, but how will you stay alive? You know, like
But sweetheart, it's exactly the same.
yes,
You're just not suffering anymore. You know,
right, right,
you're not invested in
right.
being in a
Because I
certain
believe
way.
that I had to suffer to survive, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, okay, gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I love you guys. Thanks so much.
Oh, it's so
Love
good
you
to have you
too.
back.
Yeah.
So good to have you back. So
Really good
grateful.
seeing you.
Yeah.
See you soon.